What's up everyone? My name is Morcie, and if you're new to this channel, I encourage others to experience the joy of being, to live with effortless ease, and all that means is to bring in enough space, enough awareness so that you can choose the next simplest step. And in today's video, let's discuss how to overcome anxiety that gets in the way of the present moment, that gets in the way of the only moment that truly matters. Anxiety has been my greatest teacher. Anxiety is one of the reasons why I am so adamant about transforming and changing my relationship with thought. And this is how we use our challenges as a tool to awaken. When it comes to your thoughts, you have two options. You can either give it power or you can give it space. When you give it power, we all know what that feels like, right? We identify with the thought. We attach to the thought. And now that thought, that story distorts our whole perception of the present moment. And not just the present moment, but of ourselves, of the truth of who we are. It's just fear. But when you give it space, you're bringing in awareness. Now you're shifting to a new perspective of the present moment. You are recognizing the isness of the present moment. And now that thought, that story that was once so heavy, once so dark, now it's light, and you have some room to laugh at it. You have some room to laugh at the moment where you're like, I can't believe I thought that was like real. I like literally made that my reality. That's something that I do quite often. I'm like, I was literally in the middle of hell in my mind, and now I realize like that had no power over me, you know. And one of the ways that I keep this consistent throughout my day, my entire life, is choosing to bring in space when I am not usually anxious. So in those moments when I am doing things, routines, tasks, whatever you're doing throughout the day, right? In those moments when I'm not usually anxious, I focus on being as present as I can be, bringing in as much space as I can, as much space between those thoughts. So for those moments, even if it's just five seconds, what I'm doing is I am experiencing the joy of being. I am experiencing what it's like to focus on being the observer. I am experiencing the isness of the present moment. And you realize the more you do that, then the less you even have to try. You'll find yourself completely in this state of being the observer without trying. And this is basically like you're practicing for like a big game, right? When we practice, we are practicing in a space that is safe for us. It feels comforting for us. We can make as many mistakes as we want, right? So now we're changing the way we do something. So now when something happens, the big game, or when you're feeling anxious, you have the tools to know what to do. And when I say tools, I mean you have awareness. You can bring in space because you've been doing it throughout the day. You've been doing it consistently throughout the day, so much so that you made that your new reality, right? You are literally creating your own reality. You are manifesting inner transformation, right? The way you think, the way you act, the way you feel, you all shift this in moments when you're still and when you're calm. And this is when you can recognize peace no matter what's happening, or no matter what's not happening in your life. I created a video about bringing more presence into your morning routine, and I'll put the link right here because that video will be very powerful for starting off your morning. The way you start off your morning, it can really determine how you spend the rest of your day. So choose to bring in space when you are chill, when you're not usually anxious. Now I know what's probably going through some of your minds right now. Sure, I can try that for a day. I could try that for an hour or so, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. I'll probably just go back to my normal ways anyways, right? And you know what? You're probably right. I mean, there's a possibility that that can happen. But let me share with you how I stay consistent. And that's through finding purpose. What is your purpose for doing this, right? What is that thing that you do that it makes that joy that lives within you start to flow through whatever you're doing? What is that one thing you love doing that you don't want anxiety to get in the way of? When you have this purpose, you have a reason to want to bring in space every day. And even the first time you do that, you bring in space, it's enough to say, you know what? I want to keep doing this because it's worth it, because I'm worth it. The consistency and this focused, it's worth it because I'm worth it, and I want to experience this moment in a new way. For me, my purpose was sharing, was teaching, was creating videos. There was a lot in my experience where I was too anxious to create a video, so I didn't create the video. And then I got anxious because I didn't create that video. So we had more unconsciousness just accumulating, coming on top of each other. And I really was just like, it's time for a change, you know? I'm tired of my mind trying to create this idea of the future based on what's happened in the past. That's what happens with anxiety. We're living too much in the future, too concerned about an outcome that we have no control over, and we're not understanding enough the power of this moment, the power of the present moment. So we're so used to what we're always doing, but if you want to change, if you want to transcend these negative thoughts, it means doing something different. So find that purpose. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be like creating videos like me. It could be like, I want to be able to go to the grocery store and not be nervous about talking to the cashier. Or I want to be able to talk on the phone and not be nervous about talking on the phone to someone, right? Like these are like the tiniest things, but have that purpose. And that purpose for you, it will guide you. It will really help you to bring in more space. Next, something incredibly powerful is visualization, right? So you are visualizing yourself being calm, being chill, being 110% you, being more you than you can ever be, right? In those moments where you're usually anxious. And when you visualize, technically you are already experiencing it. So when that moment comes, you know how to act, you know what to say, and you, most importantly, you know how to feel due to your awareness, right? Our thoughts are powerful, and they could be our downfall when we give them power, or we can use them to create our reality by bringing in space. And we all know what happens when we give these thoughts power, right? We start to feel anxious, and now these visualizations in our mind, the body actually feels like it's happening. So we begin to feel physically and biologically all of these responses to that thought, to that story. Our palms get sweaty, our heart races. Some of us might freeze. Some of us might freeze. There's moments where I freeze too. And I'm just like, what's happening? Because you're literally living in this horror story in your mind. So it's incredibly powerful to choose how you're going to use this thought. You are choosing your relationship with the thought, bringing an awareness to say enough, you know what, right now is the time that I'm changing this. I'm not gonna wait and say, oh, I hope next year my thoughts don't control me. The future is created in the present. The present moment is all that ever exists. So if you are sick and tired of your mind controlling you, That means in this moment, you bring awareness and you use your mind instead of your mind using you. That's exactly what happens to me when I'm going in this loop and cycle of repetitive thoughts from not bringing in space. I say, you know what? You want this to end? Choose right now, Morse. Choose this moment and bring in space. And guess what? I bring in space. And guess what? That thought, it has less power. I'm able to laugh at it. Laughter breaks through the ego, right? The ego and these thoughts are creating the ego's identity. It's making it firm, right? It's creating very strong boundaries. So this is what happens when we take life too seriously, because we're giving these thoughts power and we're allowing the ego to have too much power. The ego's job is analytics, it's problem solving, those little parts of the world. The ego doesn't need to be the driver of our life. Right? You make it smaller in your life so you can literally experience being a human and being. That's the beauty of being here on earth. I saw this movie Soul the other day. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's amazing. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. And it reminded me, we came here to experience. Straight up, we came here to experience. We came here to experience feeling. Even when we feel that fear and we feel that anxiety, technically a deeper part of ourself wanted to know how that felt like. And so many times I laugh, and when I think about that, I become more accepting of how I feel. And all of a sudden, all it is, it's just a sensation. There's no meaning to it. There's no story to it. It's just a feeling and it goes away. Everything we experience in life, our soul, our spirit, it wanted this to be a part of the experience and the evolution of our own consciousness. You know, life wasn't technically, we're not here to make us happy, but for our consciousness to evolve, to expand our awareness. And anxiety, when you're feeling that, use it as a tool. You don't need to identify it. You know, I like to say I feel anxious rather than saying I am anxious. So I'm recognizing that verbiage and the language that I use. So even something as small as that is bringing in more space. You know, be aware of that part of the mind that finds anxiety a part of its identity. Because then when it's time to let go of anxiety, some of us don't want to let go because it's so a part of our identity and what we've always known. Now that is completely interfering with your healing process, with healing the mind. So start being aware of it. Are you using anxiety as a part of your identity? Are you ready to let it go? Are you ready to bring in more space so you can experience a new perspective of the present moment? Like down below if you're ready to bring in space. Like down below if you're ready to focus on being the observer while you're doing the most mundane things. Like down below if you're ready to figure out what's your purpose, so each and every day you choose you and you don't choose those crazy thoughts. My name is Morcie. If you enjoyed this video, comment, like down below, and subscribe. That would really help this channel out and this video out, going through that YouTube algorithm. Also, check out these 2 videos right here. They're quite good for the mind. My name is Morcie. Until next time, peace.